One of the things that I love about my job is being able to hear from different leaders and different organizations in all different types of industries. And I remember a year and a half ago, a little bit more now it seems than a year and a half ago, when the pandemic first started, was how quickly people switched to virtual workspaces. Um, and how there was both a trying to figure it out, trying to figure out what it was like working from home, trying just to even get a printer or a modem with or a camera for, video conferences, and also the novelty of it, of the virtual happy hours, the virtual meetings, that were more social in nature than just all business in nature. And I remember there being a sense that this was gonna be temporary, that this was just something that we had to do kind of with everything COVID related. That was just going to be temporary, a few weeks, maybe a few months, and then things would get back to normal. And I'm sure I don't have to tell you that I don't think we're ever going back to normal, whatever that might have been in the past. And one thing that we're seeing a lot right now, is the emergence of hybrid work environments. I just talked to somebody today about their hybrid work environments that they're experimenting with. That's a word that we seem to hear a lot as well, that people are experimenting with hybrid work environments, with whether it's all, some people are all virtual and some people are in the office all the time. Everybody has a combination of working from home, working in the office, or anything in between. There's a lot of hybrid going on right now within the workplace. And so we wanted to take some time today to explore three thoughtless things that people do in hybrid workplaces. And let me be clear, none of these things are necessarily things that people wake up in the morning and say, "Hey, I'm going to be thoughtless today in my workplace." Very rarely do people wake up with that sentiment, if at all. But nonetheless, things can happen that feel thoughtless. And when we're looking at this idea of thoughtless, it can be thoughtless with others, that the actions that you are taking are thoughtless with others. You might often notice, oftentimes it's easier to notice with other people when they're being thoughtless with you. So this idea of being thoughtless with others, I think, is one that we talk about often. But I will also want to emphasize the actions that we take are that can be thoughtless with yourself. That because you maybe it is because you're thinking so much of others, you're not then thinking about what it is that you need. And so let's dive in. What are the three thoughtless things that people do in hybrid workplaces? First one is multitasking. Okay, I'm guilty of multitasking. I multitask all the time. And so multitasking by its nature is not necessarily thoughtless, though there's plenty of research that shows that there's really no such thing as multitasking. Your brain can literally only do one thing at a time. So the people who say they're good multitaskers are likely good task switchers because they can switch from task to task to task. Where this becomes thoughtless, though, is when that task switching, when that multitasking has an impact both on the relationship of the person that you are having a conversation with or a meeting with, or when that multitasking is having an impact on your actual work and productivity. So, for example, you're in a meeting, and I mean, sometimes it's blatantly obvious when people are multitasking, right? They might not even be looking at the screen. You might be hearing the typing going on their keyboard, and it's really quick to realize, okay, they're multitasking, they're not listening, and what's the story that goes through your head? If you're noticing you're multitasking, whether you're within a meeting or not, recognizing, are you putting the attention that you want to be putting on any one of those tasks? Could you maybe get more work done, be more productive, enjoy that 10-minute Facebook break a little bit more if you focus just on that one task at a time? Again, multitasking by its nature or task switching is not necessarily thoughtless, But if you're noticing it's having a negative impact, that's a good sign that maybe then it's moving into that thoughtless territory. Okay, second one, comparing. Oh boy, do we see this one a lot right now. People are comparing those people who get to work from home, those people who get to go to the office. How lucky are they that they get to the office? Those people that, oh gosh, they've gotten their commute back. Those, I think about my husband. He's been going to work every day since the pandemic started. He's an essential worker, at least in the eyes of his employer. He works in a job where he has to go to work, and so there's the comparison from as somebody who works from home now primarily. We both make comparisons of who has it easier, who has it harder. Of course, I'm the one who has it harder. He says that he has it easier because he actually has to get up and go someplace all the time. But just the energy of doing the comparison, whether it's people in different industries, people within your organization, that comparing can really take a lot of thought. And when it's taking up that space in your thought capacity, that's taking away time that you could be thinking about other things. The final, then, um, thoughtless thing, at least that we're talking about today. I have no doubt there are other thoughtless things that you've seen in hybrid work environments. And by all means, add to the comments right now other thoughtless things that you see people do, or maybe you do yourself in hybrid workplaces. But the third one we'll talk about here today is assuming. And this one probably, I don't want to say it's the most prevalent, but this one happens all the time. And it's not restricted just to hybrid workplaces, but oh my goodness, is it easy to do in a hybrid workplace? Um, Somebody has their camera off, and what are all the assumptions that go through your head? You see somebody not looking at the screen, so they must be multitasking, right? When in fact, maybe they're not looking at their screen only because their camera is here and their screen is over here and they're watching everybody else. And that's the only reason that they're not looking at the screen. We make assumptions all the time that if somebody really cared, maybe they'd be coming into the office more. If somebody really cared about the deadline, they'd be working harder at home. If they're working from home, they can work anytime. They should be able to respond to my emails. We make those assumptions and those turn into stories. And those stories, again, can have impacts on our relationships. And at a time where it is hard enough to get the work done, hard enough to keep our family in one piece, to keep our family safe, to keep ourselves safe and sane, assumptions certainly don't help. And so this is the time. This is a perfect time to practice the thoughtfully fit practice of strength. Strength invites us and challenges us to consciously choose in every situation, every moment. It's not just with other people. You certainly want to consciously choose with other people, but to consciously choose with yourself as well. And how can you choose to be thoughtful with yourself and with other people? If you're noticing frustration, if you're noticing you're swirling in the multitasking, if you're noticing you're constantly comparing and maybe putting yourself down that other people seem to have it so much more together, making assumptions about what other people are doing and what that means about you, this is the time to hit that pause button. Hit that pause button and think about, are you showing up in a way that you want to? Are you giving your thoughts, processing those emotions, spending the valuable time that you have working on things, focused on the things that you want to be focused on? So hit that pause button and think, what choices do I have right now? Is it helpful to be comparing myself to others right now or not? Is it helpful to be switching between all these tasks right now or not? Maybe you'll find that it is. Maybe you'll find, okay, this is what's required of me right now. This is what needs to happen. Maybe this is the time where you can check out some of those assumptions and have that conversation, as opposed to assuming, oh, well, somebody didn't get back to me. That must mean that they're not working. Or somebody didn't get back to me, so that must mean that I'm not important in what I need. They don't find me important. recognize what choices you have and then consciously choose how you want to act. Act in the way that you want to. So, regardless of what you're dealing with right now, I'm with you in terms of it's hard right now to not be thoughtless. Not because you want to be thoughtless. Sometimes it just feels like things are difficult right now. And so no need to beat yourself up. This is a chance to practice strength and to think about how is it that what do you want to consciously choose instead? Let me also say, if you haven't already, there's this great quiz. If you haven't taken it already, go to thoughtfullyfit.com. You're going to learn more about Darcy's book there as well, but you're also going to learn what's the hurdle that gets in your way. Is it strength? Is it this how you're showing up and consciously choosing? Or is it one of the other of the total 6 thoughtfully fit practices out there? So if you haven't already, go to thoughtfullyfit.com, take that quiz and learn more about Darcy's fantastic book as well while you're there. Thank you so much for joining me for Thoughtfully Fit Thursday. We will see you next time.